It's time for Supply Chain Now Radio, broadcasting live from the supply chain capital of the country, Atlanta, Georgia. Supply Chain Now Radio spotlights the best in all things supply chain. The people, the technologies, the best practices, and the critical issues of the day. And now, here are your hosts.
Hey, good afternoon. Scott Luton here with you live on Supply Chain Now. Welcome back to the show. We are not broadcasting from Atlanta GA today. We're here in Scottsdale, Arizona, beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona, at the DMSCA Annual Conference. If that acronym is new to you, Diverse Manufacturing Supply Chain Alliance, and it should be on your radar, DMSCA.us. I had a great time covering the event, speaking to the thought leaders here, the keynotes, the presenters, the participants, and this is going to be a special episode as well. Stay tuned for that. Before we get started, let's a couple quick programming notes. First off, you can find us wherever you get your podcast from. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a thing. And then secondly, we got to give thanks to our sponsor, right, that allows us to be out here covering the event, Veresen, Verusen, Veresen.com. They are using AI, the power of AI, to drive data harmonization around the world with a big focus on materials. So check them out at Veresen.com. Okay, here with me today, again in Scottsdale, Arizona, we've got two students from Morgan State University. Janoah Smith, a senior. Janoah, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing fantastic. And with her, we have Deirdre Doughlin, also a senior at Morgan State.
Yes.
So this is our second episode featuring students from Morgan State University here at the DMSCA Conference. And I'll tell y'all have garnered a lot of attention.
Yes.
You know, I think we were in one session together earlier, and the feedback we've gotten from a variety of folks we've interviewed and folks we've had lunch with and had sidebar conversations with, you are turning some heads.
Yes.
How engaged you are, the perspective you share, the questions y'all have asked, and it's really neat to have pick y'all's brain right here on Supply Chain Now. So, Janoah, let's start with you.
Okay.
Tell us about yourself and give us, tell us about where you're from and give us, something that some folks may not know about you.
Okay. I am from Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay.
I am from the Pikesville, Maryland area. It's like 20 minutes
Pikesville.
out.
Is that so? Roughly 20 minutes out?
Like 20 minutes outside of the city.
Okay. What direction? Roughly. All right.
I don't know.
Okay. So 20 minutes outside of Baltimore. And tell us about, what's something about you that some folks may not know.
I studied engineering for 6 years.
6 years?
Yes.
What, a certain degree or?
Well, I went to a high school that had a program for it, and that's actually how I chose my high school. And I studied everything from principles of engineering to engineering design to aerospace engineering to just engineering capstone. And then I went to college for engineering, and I was a civil engineer at first, and then I changed to industrial, and now I'm a supply chain major.
So, okay.
Yes.
So with a strong engineering background, which is going to be quite an asset as you get out in industry.
Yes.
So really neat. All right, so let's switch gears. Deirdre, where are you from? And give us something maybe some folks don't know about you.
So I think that both of those questions can be tied into one.
Okay.
I actually moved a lot, so it's kind of hard to say where I'm from, but between Arizona, between Maryland, and between Chicago. So bounced all around.
And so you got East Coast there, you got Midwest, and then you've got Arizona out here, which is just incredible. And you are a real Cubs fan.
Yes, legit. Before the World Series, back when it was like 100 years.
Right.
Won, yeah.
Yes. Okay. All right. Very cool. All right. So what I want to find out from both of y'all is why Morgan State University? Why did you choose? So Janoah, let's start with you.
So I actually, when I was looking at colleges, I didn't want to go to Morgan. I didn't want to be in Baltimore. I wanted to branch out and go to a school that was far away. But it didn't work out. I was really interested in engineering. I chose all my schools off of engineering. And so me and my mom visited Morgan, and she literally came back in the auditorium, and she was like, "So you're going to Morgan?" And I was like, okay, because before that, she was like, we're going to go to the conference. I'm like, we're going to go to the open house, but, it's just a backup plan. But they said something to her that she was like, so yeah, Morgan. And I was like, okay.
She was convinced. She was sold.
She's paying for it. So.
Oh, that's important. Yes. That is really important. Deirdre, how about you?
So I'm on the opposite end of that spectrum. More so, they just gave me a lot of opportunity. I pay for it myself, so they were willing to work with me. They were willing, because being kind of moving around.
Sure.
But I got a lot of scholarships, a lot of grants, so I felt they were investing in me. I should definitely take advantage of it. So
outstanding.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the field of supply chain. So clearly that's a topic front and center here at DMSCA, and all 4 students that are part of the Morgan State University delegation all are majoring in supply chain, some with double majors, which has been pretty impressive. Janoah, what about the world of supply chain really appeals to you?
So with engineering, it was kind of, you build the process, and then what happens after that is none of our concern, because that's all supply chain. But I was interested in what happens after that. Like, what if it doesn't work, or what if the customer doesn't like it, or what if it doesn't get there on time, or just stuff like that. But I didn't know what supply chain was. And people from Apex actually came to talk to my engineering class and were like, well, is there anyone in here that doesn't really know what they want to do? And I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I was still trying. I was in engineering, but I was noticing that wasn't what I wanted to do anymore. And I was like, I found that out when I was a junior. So I was like, I'm running out of time. Like, I have to find out what I want to do. So I just tried supply chain, and I love it. So I never went back.
So Apex came out and taught?
Yes, they came and talked to my engineering class, which was kind of,
It's a neat experience.
Yes.
And clearly it had a big impact.
It did.
Because is that what led you? Is that what started your kind of due diligence on supply chain?
Because I was just not happy anymore, and I was like, well, I don't know what to do. Because only other thing I was interested in was medicine, and I didn't want to start completely over and just go into something that I hadn't taken any classes towards. So I was just sitting there thinking, and I was like, well, I heard something about supply chain. Let me go talk to them. And they were really welcoming and just really supportive, which helped a lot, especially in the situation I was in. So
4 years later, you're about to graduate with a supply chain management degree, right?
Yes.
Incredible. All right. So, Deirdre, let's talk about why supply chain for you.
So given just my work experience, I've worked in about 5 different industries, and what I've identified
already.
Yeah, I took time off for school.
Okay.
Or from school. But I've used it to my advantage, kind of having that experience before you graduate, that catch-22. So what interested me in supply chain was what I've noticed with each industry I worked in, it's catering to what people want. And with supply chain, everybody needs something, whether it's purchasing, anything you're buying, investing. But at the end of the day, there's always a supply chain involved. So I just wanted to reach a lot of people, but still have something new and exciting going on with my career. So
outstanding. And you're also a senior,
yes,
right? Now, you're graduating in
May 21.
Okay, so yes. Janoah's graduating in May 21. And Deirdre?
December 18th,
okay.
2020.
She's going to leave me.
and so Deirdre's saying that on the last episode, Latia, right, is also graduating in December and knew that date and had it sworn to memory. Okay, so now are both of y'all members of the Apex student chapter?
Yes, I'm actually the marketing specialist. I'm on the executive board.
Okay,
yes.
Very nice. And so why marketing? Let's talk about, is that just where you wanted to volunteer?
So I had just gotten into the major, and Latia actually came to me, and she was just really supportive in my change.
And Latia's the president
yes,
of the
I didn't really
chapter.
know anyone, so Latia was like, yeah, I'm going to help you, and everything, and she's been very supportive through all of my, processes that I've done. And so she was like, it would look great on your resume, and it would really show leadership. And I was like, okay, well, what are the positions? And I saw a marketing specialist, and I'm really good at making flyers and just getting the word out there. And I noticed that a lot of students don't know about supply chain at our school. It's very small major. So I was like, I didn't know about it. And if there's someone else out there that can benefit from the major, then they should know about it too. So I figured that was the best position for me.
So let's come back to that. You touched on something I think is really important. So let's come back to that in just a second on the awareness side. So Deirdre, are you also involved in the student chapter?
Not this yet for next semester, but I just switched to supply chain last year, so I'm
Really?
like the rookie in the group.
Okay. And what was your major prior to supply chain?
I was doing business administration. Yeah. So it's like supply chain's the baby of it in a way, but I like this a lot more.
Yes.
You're the golden child.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to get y'all's take on something. Janoah, you were talking about kind of awareness, but you were kind of alluding to just the Morgan State University student body. Thinking more broadly and thinking about, folks in y'all's generation and folks behind y'all, right? The generation behind you. Is supply chain, do you think there's a general lack of awareness for supply chain careers? And we'll start with you, Janoah.
I do. I definitely do, simply because I didn't know anything about it. And, I mean, engineers work kind of hand in hand with supply chain managers, and I had never even heard about the major, let alone the job. And my mom even, doesn't know that much about it, and she'll talk to her coworkers, and people would be like, "Oh, what's your major?" And I'll be like, "It's supply chain." I get asked this all the time, what is that? And it's you use it every day. Literally anything that's in your hand right now came from supply chain management.
That's
and
right.
So I feel like it definitely needs more awareness, and I feel like it is going to open up a lot of jobs. And honestly, I don't think we're going to have enough people. I think a lot of people need to, if they're not going to switch your major, at least look into it.
Yeah, be aware, right?
Yes.
Deirdre, what about you? Awareness.
From what I've noticed, just talking with people, I feel like it's a certain age group that's not as aware. I know it kind of blew up more in the early 90s. So I noticed a lot of younger people know what it is. A lot of people in engineering know what it is. But anyone that hasn't touched in those areas kind of have to give a little backstory on it. So
they're behind.
A little bit. We're getting them up to speed.
Okay. All right. So, one question that we didn't talk about kind of in the pre-show warm-up that I want y'all to weigh in on that Latia and your colleagues, Latia and Aaron, had a lot of good things to say. So clearly you are probably already interviewing. You're kind of already surveying the market where you want to be and the jobs and companies and stuff. What are one or two things that you're looking for in your first job out of college? Janoah, let's start with you.
I think I'm looking to learn as much as I possibly can, and I'm also looking to be welcomed. I think I'm looking for people to welcome not only me but my ideas, and just to be able to hear me and my generation out, because we have a lot of innovation ideas and we can really help.
So I heard two big things there. Number one is professional development.
Yes.
Right? You don't want to, whatever role and whatever skill sets you have from day one, you want that to look a lot different in day 300, right?
Yes.
And then maybe what you're more passionate about is the ability to be welcomed, including your ideas and being able to make an impact ultimately.
Yes.
Is that?
Yes, definitely. I feel like we have a lot to offer, and I feel like my generation definitely are go-getters, and we are determined to help and make changes that we see fit. And while some of our changes seem far-fetched, some of them are actually needed, like
Agreed.
blockchain, for example.
There you go. We had to work that word in, right?
Yes.
It's required in every
Yes.
supply chain conversation.
It's going to happen, so.
That's right.
Yes.
Deirdre, same question. What do you so as you're evaluating the job market and talking with hiring managers and whatnot, what's a couple things you're really looking for?
So I would definitely look for something that has opportunities for growth, or to kind of just have some sort of rotational period. Being that supply chain has so many different branches, it would be nice just to kind of get a feel for each one before I really lock in and try to progress through that. So definitely something with a good rotational program, little flexibility, definitely opportunities to advance.
So being able to be well-rounded in the organization appeals a lot to you, and flexibility.
For sure.
Yes.
Really important. Okay. So let's talk about. I'm going to flip here. We're going to go into DMSCA first, but I want to kind of flip it and have y'all weigh in on the global end-to-end supply chain industry, right? So, what is one topic? And Janoah, let's start with you. What's one topic or development or innovation that you are tracking more than others right now? And it can be innovation. It can be a leadership observation. It could be workforce related, technology.
I think I'm really interested in what's going to happen if the coronavirus does do exactly what people think, what people are scared of it doing. I guess I'm hearing a lot of people like saying how we're going to prevent it from happening, but I haven't heard many people say what's going to actually happen to their supply chain if goods can't come from certain parts of countries. And it's like, well, everybody's scared of that happening, so what's the plan if it does happen? And because, you know, we're entering in the job world and basically, well, me a year and a half and Deirdre next winter.
Soon.
So it's like
soon.
December 18th.
What's gonna take place? What's gonna happen? What would we need to expect?
Right.
How definitely flexibility, and how are we gonna adapt to it?
Because you want to plan.
Yes.
Right? We're supply chain.
Yes.
We want to plan. It's inherent in our DNA. That's
Don't
right.
want to go into it blindly. Just,
That's right.
Just know that there is a plan, and how can we fit into that plan?
Well put. Deirdre, what are you? What's on your radar?
I've honestly been closely following Amazon, just because of the giant they are.
Right.
But most interestingly to me is they use FedEx and UPS a lot, and they're now looking into have their own like freight or plane service to deliver. So I just think that's really awesome. They've progressed so quickly, and a lot of companies are trying to play catch up. So I know that's on their supply chain, their next move. So
are y'all curious about? So clearly, Amazon is the dominant player, right? And however, mainly in the States, because you got Alibaba and some others that have more of a global share, right? But are you curious? What I find myself thinking a lot about and kind of tracking is the ABA, the anyone but Amazon, right? Because despite all the cool things and the business dominance and the innovation and all the good things, right? It's been neat and inspiring to watch, like you're alluding to. It's creating pockets of opportunity.
It is.
And it seems like more and more companies are trying to figure out how to do business, make business happen without Amazon, right? I think it's kind of fascinating because if you do business with Amazon, they've got all the leverage, right?
Yes.
They've got the marketplace, they've got the channels, they've got you name it.
Right.
So we'll see. You know, they have been dominant here in the States for so long. It'll be curious to see what that gives rise to in the next few years.
Right.
So good stuff though. You gotta. I mean, they are the dominant business case study, right?
Yeah, for sure, for so many reasons.
That's right.
But then it comes to a point, it's like, well, I really need that by tomorrow, so let me just
Or I
go
really
on
need
Amazon.
that,
Yes.
like
Yes.
this evening.
That's right.
And it's like, I think other companies are trying to become key players as well, because they are definitely the key player.
Right.
But they're like, how can we incorporate some of the things that they do and, you know, try to make growth from that ourselves.
Yeah, the other thing I'm kind of tracking a little bit is the brick and mortar. You know, because we've all heard that phrase "retail apocalypse" for months and months and months. However, a lot of folks that whether it's on our show, whether it's sidebar conversations we're having, they still love the in-person shopping experience. Now, sometimes we need, well, more and more we need that product ASAP, 2 hours, next day, or what have you. But, you know, there's still a large contingent of consumers that like, especially like clothes buying.
Right.
Or other things you want to kind of touch and feel and kind of have that traditional buying experience. And it's interesting to see how these e-commerce players are getting their cake and eat it too by taking advantage of both sides or some of the unique partnerships we've seen. You know, I think Toys R Us partnered, which is almost a, you know, they don't have any brick and mortar.
Okay.
But they stood up a website last holiday season, and folks could order on Toys R Us or peruse toys. But they had a partnership with Target, so Target would handle the transaction and it'd go pick up the toys at the Target store.
Yes,
That's interesting.
That's
So
important.
a lot of creative applications here.
Yes, I feel like there's definitely things in my closet that I wouldn't have bought if I could have touched it first and actually tried it on first. I feel like I would have went with a different option.
That
But
is a great.
I also don't want to go through the hassle of having to ship it back to return it. So there are definitely downsides to it.
Agreed.
Yes.
And we're speaking of returns. Have y'all in reverse logistics? I'm not sure how much colleges really spend on that here, but everybody's returning stuff. Unlike you, Janoah,
Yes.
you're a sustainable
I would
consumer.
probably save a lot more money if I returned things.
Well, But returns is becoming a bigger and bigger challenge, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's so many especially when you think of brands, that they're real careful about what returns go back on the shelf because they don't want brands to be compromised.
Right.
So y'all, as you get out and are leading supply chains, y'all will be dealing more and more with returns and reverse logistics, right?
Yeah. We've dabbled in it a little.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Just a little
Well,
bit.
then y'all are so far ahead of where folks in my generation, proud Gen Xers, returns and e-commerce and reverse logistics, those weren't parts of those curriculums. So y'all are, imagine that.
We're learning from the best, though. We need those Gen X
Yeah,
to teach
learning from you guys. But I think we also take our school experience, but in like the just like basic retail jobs we have, we find ways to incorporate supply chain into that and just find ways to put what we're learning in school into our everyday lives, just finding that everything is in supply chain.
Love it. Like from a design standpoint, right?
Yeah, from
Getting
a design
proactive
standpoint,
about it.
Yeah, and I actually work at Design and Shoe Warehouse, and not only am I a cashier, but we work with shipments and having to actually go out and pick the shoes and ship them to the customer, and it has to get to that customer on time. If it's not there at the price that they paid for, it's a problem. It's a big problem.
Big problem.
Yes, and they want to talk to you about
That's
it.
right.
So.
All right. And so you also have some practical experience already, some real world experience, and same thing for you, Deirdre. What sector? Any of the?
So I've done retail, health insurance, banking, hospitality, and food and bev.
Wow. Well rounded.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Ready to go.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's shift gears as we start to wrap up this interview. Let's talk about DMSCA and the Diverse Manufacturing Supply Chain Alliance. This is the, as we shared, as we were coming live here, Supplier Development Conference, annual conference. Why are y'all here? What brings y'all here? Same question I asked Latia and Aaron. And we'll start with you, Deirdre.
Okay. So we were fortunate enough to be selected from our school. Our chairman for our information systems and services department selected us. He is affiliated with David Thornton, sorry. But we were just given that opportunity just to kind of get that real world here from professionals. Rather, we can read a textbook, we can look at PowerPoints, but we're not going to hear actual experiences or solutions they've had. So it's been really great for us.
Yeah, really see, and I'm sure they touch on plenty of real world case studies and incorporate that. In fact, I've found educational institutions are doing that more and more.
Yeah.
Really effectively. But getting out and talking with practitioners and leaders, it's made a big impact.
Definitely.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Anything to add, Janoah? Sorry.
You're fine.
I've only had 16 cups of coffee. Clearly, I needed one more.
You're fine. I'm just really happy to be here. We spoke with David Burton in our class, and he actually came to talk to us, and he just like slightly touched on DMSCA in the conference, and we were like, oh wait, I want to go, and he was like, okay, yeah, great, yeah, you're coming, and we were like, yeah, right, and then we got an email from our chairman, and it was like, yeah, so you've been selected, respond to this email ASAP, and I texted Latia, I was like, is this for real? Like, did you get the email? She was like, yeah, respond right now. And I was like, okay, I mean, yeah, great. And like, even up until like a week ago, it didn't seem real, but we're here now.
Here you are.
Yes, and it's honestly, it's very rewarding to just see that my parents are not wasting money. Because not only am I going to be successful, but the things that I'm learning right now, they're being applied, and just being able to sit next to people that are having important conversations, it's very rewarding. And
you're participating.
Yes.
And offering your own input in these important
they're
conversations.
listening and nodding.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, it's been very rewarding to have both of these last couple episodes. Appreciate what you are doing. Again, most students don't take advantage of these opportunities, and y'all are out here, and also you're not being wallflowers. You're just like you were saying, you're engaging.
Yeah, asking questions.
Yeah.
Which is really nerve-wracking, but they really like my questions.
That's good.
So.
Good enough. Well, all right. So anything as you're flying back, both of y'all flying out tonight?
Yes.
Flying back out to the Baltimore area. Well, you're live in the Baltimore area, right?
Yes, I live near Morgan.
Okay.
Off-campus housing.
And Deirdre? Same?
I live outside of D.C.
Okay.
I'm the unfavored DMV one.
Okay. So, well, as y'all are flying back, one last question. What's one key takeaway that stands out from the other experiences and the other different experience you've had here? What's that one key takeaway?
I think everything that we have learned has been very informative. Like, just to even see like charts that we have in class, like things that are explained to us in class on professionals' PowerPoints, like it just means that what we are learning in class is actually going to help us, and we're actually being prepared. It's like very rewarding and informative just to know that our time is not being wasted, because a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, but some people don't even feel that they need college. And just to know that we are going to college and going to come out with knowledge that we're actually going to be able to use it's great.
Yeah,
honestly.
I bet. Deirdre?
My biggest takeaways were risk and resilience, and I think that applies to everything. What I've noticed for the supply chain, it's more of just a plan if things go accordingly. But, in a perfect world, that sounds nice, but realistically, there's going to be things that come up, things that aren't really prepared for. So just preparing for as much as possible, trying to calculate it with the risk, having resilience to be able to bounce back. I think that's applicable to anything. So
agreed. That's a great comment to kind of wrap things up on. Great point. Well, I hate to end the conversation, but I know everybody, this is a getaway day, and we got flights and other things going on. So big thanks, Janoah Smith, Sr., and Deirdre Doughlin, Sr., both at Morgan State University, both future supply chain practitioners right around the corner.
Yes.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Okay, so that wraps up this episode. Two quick comments to our audience. First off, stay tuned for more programming and coverage here in Scottsdale with DMSCA's conference. And also you can learn more about DMSCA at DMSCA.us. And also we've got in-person and virtual events with partners around the world coming up at supplychainnowradio.com. Check out the events in the webinars tab in particular. EFT Reuters events, the Automotive Industry Action Group, Resilience 360. Hey, see what we did there? And many more, including Modex. And if you can't find something, you can hit up our CMO at amanda@supplychainnowradio.com, and we'll serve as a resource for you. Big thanks to our guests. Big thanks to our hosts. Of course, big thanks to our sponsor. And thanks to you, our audience, for tuning in. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Verusen.com, VERUSEN.com, where they're leading the global fight for data harmonization. On behalf of the entire team here, Scott Luton, wishing you a wonderful week ahead, and we'll see you next time on Supply Chain Now. Thanks, everybody.